Hello, this is Christian Okoye, former Kansas City Chiefs. You are listening to Grilling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to Survive and Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies, the future of sports medicine. To check out all of Replenishing Care's products, go to thegruelingtruth.net, click on the banner at the top of the page. I'm your co-host for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Now I want to welcome in the tallest member of the Grueling Truth family and a 1981 national champion, Steve Risley.
Mike, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's sunny out. The world is great unless you're the NCAA.
You know what? As much as you say it's sunny out and the world is great, we actually got rain out here in Los Angeles, and that
makes it even better.
It's even better. For the first time, I think, since March of 2017, I have seen a wet driveway looking out my front door.
All right.
That's rare.
Yeah, today we got some stuff to talk about. We got the Gatto trial. Larry Nassar, Michigan State's been cleared. LeBron James's first game at the Forum. I'm going to call it the Forum. I don't know what they call it now, but maybe they still do.
Staples Center.
Whatever, it's the Forum to me.
The Forum's a different building.
I know, but still, the Lakers should always play in a place called the Forum. Then we will talk a little bit about the Cubs falling last night, Yankees-A's tonight. A little Ryder Cup dissension, and maybe some NFL news at the end of the show. But let's start off with the NCAA FBI investigation, which is something that the NCAA, as we'll talk about later with Larry Nassar, is not allowed to investigate themselves on. And yesterday we had a new one thrown in where Jim Gatto's attorney promised evidence would show Oregon offered an astronomical amount of money to recruit Brian Bowen to play for the Oregon Ducks. And as we know, the University of Oregon is famously one of the most prosperous Nike schools in college athletics. What do you think about this? And the other thing is, from your research, I mean, who does this involve now? Because this is starting to get bigger as we go, I think.
Well, first off, you need to clarify everything here. There's actually two different issues going on here. There's one issue that's going on with the U.S. government, and that's the trial that's going on right now. The trial that's going on is for wire fraud and tax evasion. That's the criminal charges that are brought up against Gatto and the other two people that are indicted. Making illegal payments making payments of large payments of sums of money to potential athletes or people. They don't even call them athletes, just people, without reporting it to the IRS, or transferring money across state lines through various means without making the IRS aware these payments were made, therefore that they were not taxed. And so it becomes tax evasion and wire fraud. That's the criminal side of this, and that's really what's going to be the downfall for Gatto and everything. Those are laws that were broken. What the hot button for everybody obviously are the rules that were broken, which are not laws and which they technically are not on trial for, which is the payments, the actual payments and the gerrymandering made to these athletes about pay for play or the shoe companies getting involved and having these guys like Gatto, these executives of the shoe companies, make these underhanded payments. So there's actually two different issues going on here. One is pretty mundane. It's the wire fraud. I'm sure they're trying to plea bargain it out and deal that part of it out. They've admitted that they made these payments. And Gatto and his lawyers and his team have said, we will name every name of every person we've made payments to. And we have proof that we made that.
So let me ask you
right
this
now,
real quick. To put this in context, let's talk about Pete Rose. He gambled on baseball, which was illegal. But the thing that got his ass put in jail was the fact that he didn't report his winnings. Correct?
I guess that's the same thing. I don't know. Is gambling on baseball illegal?
Or gambling on baseball, it doesn't matter if it's legal or not, because if you're making money, the NCAA wants their cut. Right, the IRS wants their cut. So
But that's
what
the same
put Steve
scenario.
Pete Rose in jail. So it was up to baseball to punish Rose for
Right.
the crime of betting on baseball. So here I
Right.
would assume the NCAA would be the ones that would have to punish the teams for the violations and the players getting money.
Exactly. It's the exact same thing as Pete Rose. I don't think that betting on baseball in the nation of the U.S. government is illegal. I mean, there's legalized gambling.
Yeah,
He's
but
doing it in the right
it's not
places.
legal to do it with a bookie, though, which is what he got in trouble for.
Exactly. But that was because he was not claiming the money as income and paying taxes on it legally.
Yeah.
That's what ended up putting him in jail. The suspension did not come from the U.S. government. That came from Major League Baseball. What's going to happen here is Gatto will get fined, jail time. They'll be convicted. They pretty much have admitted they've done it. And what apparently they're trying to do, what it appears to be like, and I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, but it appears they're trying to threaten with, we're going to name names. We're going to bring everybody that we did this with out into the public forum, and hoping probably to plea bargain down or get a better deal to get off of any jail time or anything of that nature. That would probably be the tack that their attorneys would be taking, although I don't know what the U.S. government would really care about the NCAA unless the NCAA, in their wisdom way, has enough power to barter and bribe with the U.S. government to say, look, we don't need this scandal rocking college athletics. But if this does come down, I mean, you're talking already $100,000 payment to Bowen. They're talking about a player. Where was the other player they listed? They were offering him 100.
D'Souza
one with 100
to Maryland, which was $20,000, but the big one is Nasser Little, who's a projected 2019 lottery pick, who's expected to star for North Carolina this season, getting $150,000.
Right, and those are names that evidence will show that these payments were made. So Gatto's people have the evidence. Obviously, they would. They're the ones that did it. Yep. But what's scary is that it's reported now that jurors were also given a long list of names that make them up at trial. That includes Bill Self, Rick Pitino, Sean Miller, Jim Larangia, Kyle Kuzma, Zion Williamson, Romeo Langford of Indiana, Jason Richardson, Isaiah Whitehead, Tom Jurich, Nasser Little, and Markel Fultz. So and this is just the tip of the iceberg. If this comes out and something's not done here, you could essentially see finally a change in the NCAA and how they operate and do things. Because I think this scandal would be so big and so far-reaching that drastic measures would have to be taken everywhere. You basically have to put a large chunk of your top-tier programs probably on some type of suspension. And like I said,
do that because they've been known to cover crap up too. So, and I know you're going to say it's hard to cover up, but I think the only institution that is corrupt as the NCAA is Congress.
Yeah, that's why you definitely think that they're going to be working together to kind of stem this and keep it as quiet as they can, or keep these names out of the spotlight, because you're talking about names that are affecting multiple, top tier Division I universities and players. And then does it involve the NBA to any degree? Does the NBA or the NFL actually even care about any of this as far as they're concerned? I mean, this is going to become far-reaching if this isn't handled with kid gloves and a lot of behind closed doors negotiating going on right now. Otherwise, you're going to have a real mess.
And this trial's just starting, so we will continue to cover this as news breaks, and I'm sure it probably will daily. But still, we're going to transition to another NCAA scandal, which was Michigan State and the Larry Nassar case. Of course, Michigan State was informed yesterday by the NCAA that its athletic department has been cleared of any rules violations in relation to Larry Nassar's sexual assault scandal. The NCAA notified Michigan State that it does not appear there is need for further inquiry. But the good thing is this: back in January, on the 23rd of January, they asked the NCAA in their in-depth investigation, asked Michigan State to send any possible violations connected to the Nassar scandal Michigan State responded on March 23rd saying there was none, and now it is basically come that the NCAA has cleared Michigan State of any wrongdoing in this case, which people at Michigan State knew this was going on. So I don't see how you can clear them of any wrongdoing here.
No, I mean, does it surprise you? I mean,
no.
It doesn't surprise me at all that this is the stance that the NCAA would take. I mean, it's like they're in a position right now where if they start turning over more stones, more red flags are going to pop up. And I think the NCAA is in such a precarious situation with the Gatto situation and now this, that they see their money train being somewhat in jeopardy, some disassociation by some big corporate people and sponsors coming involved that might be otherwise major donor sponsors, or just the entire favor of all college athletics falling apart. They don't want a red flag coming up here, and they want to sweep us on the table. They got Nassar. Nassar's their justifiable scapegoat. Definitely with the crimes he committed, definitely he got his just reward. But I think they like what's going to happen in this shoe trial with Gatto. They now they want it to go away. They had to live through it. They'd come out fairly unscathed. The NCAA did. They put all the blame on Nassar acting as an individual, which I don't see possible that he could act as an individual without at least other people knowing about it and other student athletes making claims to coaches, and then those coaches not forwarding on or taking proper action. So, yeah, I think this is just let's get it under the rug and get past this one right now and go on to the next mess we got to deal with.
Yeah, and on top of that, additionally, the university has been cleared regarding sexual assault allegations made against the athletes in the football and basketball programs, according to the statement. NCAA launched a second investigation in response to a report by ESPN's Outside the Lines about how Michigan State handled the allegations against players. So I think all around, this is just looks like another dirty thing done by the NCAA.
Yeah, and I guess the moral story is, thank God you're Michigan State and playing the Big Ten, huh?
Yeah.
Because if you were Akron playing in the MAC, you probably wouldn't be so lucky. No. There might be some more heads rolling.
Oh, but because you're the program.
Yeah, they might kill the program, exactly. But because it's Michigan State, because it's a top-tier school, it's an NCAA powerhouse in both football and basketball, as well as other sports. It's part of one of the most, the Power 5 conferences. They don't want that scandal based on what they're facing with the other situation and what they've already faced with Nassar. So, yeah, this one's going away, and they're just going to drop it and let it go.
All right, next up.
Sad.
What?
Sad but true, but that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's usually what does happen with the NCAA. That's why only Congress is more corrupt. And I don't even know if Congress is more corrupt. You never know.
I'm beginning to wonder after researching the NCAA more and more and more. It's a horse race. It's really a horse race between Congress and the NCAA is probably the two most uncredible organizations in the United States right now. I bet if you took a poll, that'd be a good poll to throw up. Who's more uncredible, the NCAA or Congress? That's a great poll. We should put that poll on the website.
We'll do that this weekend.
Do that poll. Yeah, just do a sports poll.
All right. Now, Tuesday night, last night, LeBron James made his home debut at Staples Center as an LA Laker. And if you watched this game or just saw what it was like, LA fans did something they don't typically do. They arrived early to their seats. I mean, they were there early to catch a glimpse. They had over 18,000 people. The place is sold out for a preseason game. The Denver Nuggets won 113-111. But that's not the big thing here. I think the big thing here is when me and you were growing up, it was like the Lakers and the Celtics. Those were the two big teams everybody wanted to see. You get into the 80s. You had Showtime at the Forum. Now, I think we're going to have Showtime at the Staples Center. I mean, I think he's rolling with a better group of players around him than he did in Cleveland. Of course, he's got to play in the West and go through teams like Golden State, Utah, Oklahoma City. They're probably better than anything in the East. But when you look at this is a great thing for the NBA because now the Los Angeles Lakers, who had lost their luster, have to be the marquee team in the league again, which does great things for this league, ratings-wise, everything you could think of. This makes everything even bigger.
Oh, and of course I'm out here in Los Angeles, and the hype, the hype and the news reports were coming on, the noon news, the evening news, or what. There were multiple reporters from every station at Staples Center, and they were commenting on how massive traffic jams, for a basketball game earlier than normal. They said that basically 20 minutes before the game started, it was packed. Everybody was in the building. It was a complete sellout, as you said. And just the entire day-long hype of LeBron's first game here. I agree with you. I think this changes the face of the NBA, and this is what they've wanted since Magic stepped down and Kareem stepped down, and Kobe went away and the Lakers stopped being a dominant force. LA is a very critical market to any sports franchise and any sports league, just because of the lifestyle out here, the weather, the notoriety of being in Los Angeles, Tinseltown, Hollywood, and everything of that nature. And now with LeBron out here, I saw something yesterday where it said LeBron now is one of the two favorites to win the MVP in the NBA this year. So justifiably or not, who knows? He's got a young team around him. We don't know how good this team's going to do. I mean, they're 0-2 in preseason. Now, preseason doesn't really count because LeBron only played 13, 14 minutes all in the first half. Scored 15 points, I think. But I definitely think for the value of the NBA, they could not have made a better move than to get LeBron out of Cleveland and get him to the Lakers.
All right. I agree completely, and I think the NBA just becomes – and the NBA, I think, has been trending up anyways. I think this is going to put it through the roof, especially if LeBron can go there and turn into a 50 or a 55-win team that can contend. Next up, we're going to talk about something Steve loves to talk about, and I don't. But this is interesting to me because, everybody likes a big car wreck. Nobody likes it, but you got to stand and look at it. So I'm going to look at it. Brooks Koepka has denied getting into a fight with Ryder Cup teammate Dustin Johnson and has defended the camaraderie of the U.S. team as being perfect. Now, the European team beat the United States over the weekend in the Ryder Cup, and Patrick Reed made a comment about Jordan Spieth not wanting to be paired with him. And the whole thing is here, Steve, where there's smoke, there's fire, and these guys can act like there's nothing wrong, but there obviously was.
Yeah, and I was going to use that exact same phrase, where there's smoke, there's fire. Definitely. You could see in the body posture and the body language of the American team that these guys do not historically get along on a day-to-day basis. They claim to be buddies and friends and have each other's cell phone numbers, but they don't play as though they enjoy being around each other. It started with Patrick Reed coming out and criticizing Jim Furyk, who's the Ryder Cup captain of the team selection, the pairing selection, claiming how he wanted to play with Tiger, and he and Tiger were undefeated last time the two played together, and he felt they should be playing together again. And then I think Johnson or somebody comes out, another player comes out and says that was a bunch of horse pucky, that he was begging to play with a different person. He didn't want to play with Tiger in the closed-door meetings, whatnot. The personalities weren't there. And then you have this alleged fight, which allegedly involves their girlfriends too, which, that may not be a bad thing. Who knows? But apparently this scuffle.
Steve. Get your mind out of it.
I know. But there was a scuffle amongst them. Well, I have no idea what, because both the guys seem to be fairly mild-mannered guys. But the flaw here is, in my opinion, and we talked about this more on our golf show that we do on growingtruth.net this week. It was posted this morning. Actually, you want to hear a little more detail on it. To me, the flaw is that the way they do the process. First off, they should name a Ryder Cup captain to serve a 10-year period of time, like let's say 10 years, which would be 5 Ryder Cups. That way you can put some continuity into the selection process, the team formatting process, how things shape up for the Ryder Cup, because we're basically getting drummed. We're barely winning when we play in the United States, and we're getting hammered. We haven't won on foreign soil in 25 years now. and that's a very long time. It's 12 Ryder Cups across the pond that we have not won. And we're barely winning with very tight margins if we win it all in the United States. So, and we generally have the best players, but take something like what college basketball did or what the Olympic basketball team did. They named Krzyzewski kind of the official Olympic coach for a period of time. Do the same thing with golf. Just select somebody and say, you're going to be the Ryder Cup captain. And really at this point, it's my opinion that they really need to start looking at changing the format as to how they select players and give more of that process to the coach and the coaching staff. Right now, the way it's done totally on a points-based system, which you accrue points over a 2-year period of time, and most people know this, and then the top 8 point getters automatically get automatic bids to the team. Well, the problem is you're basing these points off of stroke play. And Ryder Cup play is largely, in most part, except for the last day, well, even the last part is match play. It's almost entirely a match play event. It's often been said Tiger Woods is a great golfer, but his weakness, if he has one, would be match play. He's never done exceptionally well at match play. I think he's only won one match play tournament of the 80 that he's won, and that was a World Golf event several years ago, a long time ago. But you're basing it off of stroke play. Then they come in here and they do match play. And it's a whole different cat to play match play golf and into stroke play golf. And I think you need to sit there, and then you got players who come out hot, like, say, a Phil Mickelson, who a year and a half ago was very hot and scored a lot of points and cruised a lot of points up front. But then as we get closer to the Ryder Cup, actually his talents or skills, or he gets in a slump. Jordan Spieth, another one who kind of late has fallen off the face of the earth, and Jordan didn't have a very good Ryder Cup. You're not necessarily taking the best or hottest players at the right time to make the Ryder Cup the most viable team you get. They listed as the most talented team of all time, which over the span of a career that might be, but for the fleeting moment of that 3 days after 2 years of searching for it, you may not have the best 12 players, which is what's happening, and you don't have the best combination of players that want to play together and want to play with each other and want to have a common goal. Europe's just so good at defining a common goal. They simply want to just win the Ryder Cup. And they don't really care about who plays with who does anything. They get along with everybody for the most part. And it's always easy to say when you're winning. But there's a decided difference in the bounce and the steps when you watch Europe play the United States. The United States acts like they don't care to be there. They don't really want to be there. That it's kind of an obligation for them to go play in it. And they do, and they just want to get out of there as quick as they can. So they're in a little bit of a funk right now. I think some changes need to be made if they want to continue the rivalry to not be a dud, start losing its TV ratings.
All right. Yeah, I agree. My take on it is this. The U.S. basketball team did that with Mike Krzyzewski, made him the head coach. They did it with Chuck Daly, I think, for a few years. And you got to have some cohesiveness. And you've also got to have players that are worried about whether they're on the team next time if they say something about the coach. Next up, we get the Me Too movement again. Cristiano Ronaldo was alleged that he raped a woman in a Las Vegas hotel in 2009. According to a civil lawsuit, which I think the important thing is here is the word civil. Lawsuit filed in state court in Las Vegas last week. Catherine Mayorga, who was then 25, alleged that Ronaldo raped her in his hotel room in this city. Then was coerced into signing a non-disclosure agreement in 2010 in an out-of-court settlement in exchange for $375,000. It asked for general damages, special damages, punitive damages, and special relief, each in excess of $50,000, along with interest, attorney's fee, and court costs. Ronaldo firmly denies the accusations, saying that he thinks that rape is an abominable crime that goes against everything that he believes. Now, we hear most guys that didn't do it, or did it, will say they didn't do it. But in this case, Steve, the thing that sticks out to me is, why a civil suit? Why wouldn't you try to get him thrown in jail? What's her motivation? I mean, does she want more money? Does she go to them wanting more money? Or
is a statute of limitations. I don't think a statute of limitations ran. It's only 2009. I can't answer that unless, like you said, I mean, does she have proof that these payments were made? I mean, can she validate these payments?
I don't know, but even if she has proofs the payments were made, then, I mean, if she accepted the payments and didn't take it, I mean, I just don't understand the civil thing. If you think that somebody raped you, why wouldn't you want them put in jail? And then you can civilly sue them.
Well, yeah, I guess my question is, if it's a civil case, what is she suing for?
I guess because of, for the rape. Like, she's suing for
Well, would that be criminal? How could that be?
But the thing is this. This is the difference. In a civil suit, and I'm sure you know this, you only have to have a preponderance of evidence.
Right.
In a court case, you actually have to prove that somebody did something. And also, in a court case, a civil case, you can make money off of it. That's the only thing that makes me question this right here. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying he did do it or he didn't do it. The thing to me is anytime I see civil suit instead of a criminal case, it just makes me worry that maybe she's trying to take advantage of him for money.
Well, it sounds like she already did. I mean, if he's paid her that much money already. So, I don't understand why there would be a civil suit without there being a criminal case. I don't know what she must just be suing for more money.
And the thing is this, it's a shame because Ronaldo could be president of the United States if he was just a little joke about Congress and the president.
There you go. Yeah.
But let's get on to things that matter more, and that would be the Major League Baseball playoffs. And Tuesday night, the Colorado Rockies beat the Chicago Cubs in 13 games in a winner-take-all National League wild card game at Wrigley Field, 2-1. Both clubs had lost the previous night on a tiebreaker Monday night to win their divisions, which relegated them to the wild card game. This was only the third wild card game in history to go extra innings and the longest postseason game in Wrigley Field history. With the win, the Rockies are moving on to the National League Division Series to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. The thing that blows my mind is all the Cubs fans that want to fire their manager, Joe Madden. And Joe Madden won him a World Series, 2 or 3 years ago? I don't understand. They wait 100 years. The guy wins one. They should keep him forever.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, and they were still in the playoffs. And the thing is, with all the rain delays and rain outs they played 42 out of the last 43 days or 43 the last 44 days. And when you watch them play the Brewers, or you watch them try to hold off the Brewers, it was fairly relevant. And I think the Cubs just ran out of gas, which was their biggest problem. And playing 43 games in 44 days is asking a lot of anybody.
Yeah, it was in the travel too. I mean, just the constant travel, as many games as they play. I'm not a huge baseball fan, so I don't follow it as closely as I follow other sports. But I watched the last 2 innings of the game in the end of the inning, and it all seemed kind of boring to me anyway, truthfully. There was not a lot of excitement in the game. I mean, when do the Yankees play?
They play tonight against the Oakland A's in a 1-game wild card playoff at 8 o'clock on TBS. And the interesting thing about this game is they're playing the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's entered the season with a payroll of $66 million. The New York Yankees payroll is $166 million. And the A's are 1 win away from knocking them out. And actually, they are the first team in 30 years to make the playoffs with baseball's lowest opening day payroll. So the question now becomes, can the A's win this one for the little guys on the big stage? The Yankees will start Luis Severino, who had a disastrous outing in a similar situation a year ago against the Twins, struggled in the second half of the regular season. And I think this, and I know you say you like the Yankees even though you hate baseball, but I think the Oakland A's will win tonight. I'm not a big Liam Hendricks fan, who's the starting pitcher for the A's, but I just think with Severino, I mean, when you look at him and what happened to him last year in that situation, anytime you've failed on a big stage like that, I think it's hard to come back from. But the other thing is this, I'm sure Major League Baseball wants the Yankees to win this game, because the Yankees win tonight, gives them Yankees-Red Sox. And I think that's all you got to say to know who Major League Baseball wants to win this game.
Yep. That'd be good for me. I'd probably watch more.
That was such
I would probably watch more of the Yankees-Red Sox.
I mean, come on.
I really, don't we have people on the Grueling Truth that do baseball shows for us?
Well, you're supposed to do sports. You do like NASCAR and golf, which nobody cares about it.
Well, don't say nobody cares about that. We all have our favorites. Baseball just doesn't get it for me. It's a lot of standing around, a lot of scratching your nuts or whatever, or doing whatever you do out there, and just not getting a lot done on the field. I mean, I tried to watch the last 2 innings of the playoff last night, and I'm like, good God, get this over with. When Colorado scored, it's like, God, please don't hit a home run or anything like that. And what do? They all get up and strike out. So, I mean, it's like there's no excitement.
So
no excitement in it.
The biggest
Okay,
thing we've established from today's show is that Steve is not a big fan of baseball.
Well, I mean, it's going to get fun if the Yankees play the Red Sox. I mean, for some reason that's fun. There's a rivalry there. I mean, I just don't see a big rivalry between the Rockies and the Cubs. Okay.
Well,
I mean,
all right.
Haven't we done shows on the Grueling on Survivor Advance about the greatest sports rivalries of all time?
Yeah, and I had Rocky Cubs at 11. It just missed.
They didn't make my top 372, and I only rated 300. So I just don't see that as a great rivalry. The baseball people are going to stop listening to us. That's fine. Well, no, it's not fine. Don't stop listening to us.
It's not fine. What do you mean it's fine? We ran a repeat of our top 10 baseball teams of all time last week, and we got like 4,000 people listen to it. We love baseball. We love baseball people, Steve. You're just being facetious, right? Sarcastic.
I'm just saying I don't follow enough to be as knowledgeable as you, or as quick enough to pull it up on Google.
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that I look everything up on Google, Steve?
Did you watch the game last night?
Yes.
You tell me. You tell me with all honesty. You watched the baseball game last night.
Yes, I watched part of the baseball game last night.
Part of the baseball game. You watched the same inning that I watched, probably.
I could not watch the whole game because I had to get up at 3 a.m. to take my son to work. But I did watch it from the time I got home from football practice, which was like at 8:30, to about 10 o'clock. But then I had to go to bed, or I would have watched it because I love baseball. I grew up with the Big Red Machine. I got nothing against baseball. My only problem with baseball is I've lost some interest just because my team sucks, which, of course, is the Reds.
So I don't have a team. So, well, we got the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing great. They're not starting Kershaw tonight. I picked that up today. They're going to save Kershaw. They're going to save Kershaw till tomorrow, give him 5 days rest. And so he's not starting. The Dodgers are playing the Braves.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that playoff game. I saw part of it, and the stadium was like half full.
The Dodgers have not played the Braves in a playoff game yet, Steve.
No. They played whoever they played. They played the Rockies, so they played in the game.
Oh, and it was half full. Well, it was L.A. They all were waiting on. They were all standing in line for tickets to the Lakers and LeBron.
And they probably were. We're trying to fight the traffic to get to the stadium because Chavez Ravine, what I've heard, is a very difficult place to get to.
Yeah.
From all the people that
when you look at it, I've always taken Laker fans as more passionate than Rams or Dodgers fans.
Yeah, Rams are doing good. Rams are doing okay because now they're winning, so everybody's going to the Rams games now.
But that's the thing. They're winning. And I mean, I still think going last year to Staples Center was probably still a bigger deal than if the Dodgers are not very good or the Rams. Let's face it, if the Rams are playing in the Coliseum and they're right now 0-4, their fifth game of the season, there'd be 25,000 people there.
If that many.
Yeah.
If that many. Yeah,
no doubt. That's not a shot on them because that's most teams.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt. They had a thing put up, I think, at the halftime of the Colts game. Last Colts game in the stadium was only half empty for the second half. Half full. They were against Houston when they had some
All right.
Basically talking about halftime.
Are we doing an Indiana Basketball Weekly show tonight?
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
Indiana Basketball Weekly show tonight.
Because I haven't got any outline of the topics or not, and I thought you were supposed to be producing that show. But all right. We know you didn't get it done because you were watching baseball.
It's 9 o'clock in the morning out here. Okay, 9:30.
Okay.
All right, give me time. I've got time to do to try to get hold of our crack report. Trying to get hold of our crack reporter Colin, who was at March Madness or Midnight Madness or 4 o'clock in the afternoon Madness to see what the take is, because I was too cheap to pay the $10 to get Big Ten Plus so I could watch Midnight Madness at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, there's no reason.
Which would have been 1 o'clock in the afternoon for me.
You can go on YouTube and at least find highlights. And the thing that stood out to me is it looked like they had guys that could shoot threes this year.
Yeah, they had a nice light show, which brings me. Okay, let me get back. Let me just wrap up on baseball. That's great. If the Yankees and the Dodgers are in the World Series, I will watch every game. If it's anybody else, you know what? Let's get back to talking about NFL, college football, NBA, NASCAR, golf. Because baseball, if it's not the Yankees
what about
and the Dodgers.
Red Sox-Dodgers? Red Sox-Dodgers would be good.
Nah, it's got to be Yankees.
Nah,
you got to go the two biggest cities. Everybody loves the Yankees. Who doesn't love the Yankees?
Nobody loves the Yankees except for Yankees fans. Yankees fans are pompous assholes. And see, it's proven because you're a Yankee fan.
Wow. All right.
Or are you a Dodgers fan? Because you've said both before.
Well, I'm kind of, for the first time in my life, I have a baseball team in my own city. So I guess by nature, I'm a Dodgers fan. I mean, I could never claim out. Believe it or not, until the Colts moved to Indianapolis, I was a Bengals fan.
Yeah.
But then when the Colts moved to Indianapolis, I was like, okay, I got to be a Colts fan because it's my city.
See, I don't understand that, but okay.
I still have a warm place in my heart for the Bengals.
No, they don't want you anymore. You cheated on them.
They're doing good, but I'd be a Dodgers fan because that's the local team. Even though we have the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, whatever the hell that is, where they are. Well, they've got a guy named Mike Trout or something, don't they? He's a good baseball player.
He's a stud. But all right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up before Steve just starts to ramble on like an old man about to go to a nursing home. Tomorrow we will be back.
Wait, are we done talking about things?
Well, I didn't have anything else to talk about. I just got my new iPhone and I was wanting to activate it.
You were going to talk about Michael.
I got to figure out how to find out what my password for iCloud is, because I guess when I started my iCloud account like 10 years ago, I had an entirely different phone number, and it says to reset my password, I have to know what that phone number was, and it gives the last two numbers. I was actually on like an old email account from 10 years ago trying to find a bill where my phone would be, but I can't. So thanks a lot, Apple. Or iTunes.
I'm looking right now at a brand new iPad for my wife. Brand new, I bought her. And we can't remember her stupid iCloud number or iCloud password from when we first set up iCloud. You have to have iCloud set up to do that.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the password is because it's been so long.
That's why I'm trying to figure out if I could figure this out or not. So I'll have my phone.
And guess what? Don't call Apple because they won't give it to you. They won't tell you that. That's classified information. You're just screwed.
Have you tried to go into an Apple store?
No. I haven't tried to go to an Apple store. Probably what you got to do or something. But we got the same situation. I got her a brand new iPad.
Did you set up a new iCloud?
No. That costs money.
It does?
I think you have to pay for that, don't you? I don't know.
You're rich.
I don't know. All I know is I got a brand new iPad right here. If anybody can figure out her iCloud passwords, we think we know what it is, but we don't. It's not working. We know what it should be because I'm the idiot who writes down every password I have and takes them to the bottom of my drawer. So if anybody ever robs my house, I just go to the bottom of the door of my desk
and the
and pull
great
out every
thing now
password.
is this. We have thousands of people that listen every day. Some of them are in L.A. Now they're looking up where Steve Risley lives because now they know where to get your passwords because you just told them. They may not have looked under the desk until you just brought it up.
Well, I'm going to go move it right now.
Well, let us know tomorrow where you put it. Also, make sure you check out, just posted today, the golf show where Steve Risley and Lucas Weiss go more in-depth on Ryder Cup and also preview the 2018-19 season. Tonight at 8 o'clock, we will have the Indiana Basketball Weekly show with myself, Steve Risley, Colin Hartman. And at 9:30 tonight, the CFL Weekly show with myself, Brian Schmidt, and Robert Drummond, who won 4 Grey Cups, I think, in BC and Toronto. Also, make sure What? Go ahead.
What are we talking about tomorrow?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. I mean, we got to know we can't know what tomorrow's sports news is until it's here.
It's going to be baseball again.
No, it won't. It'll never be baseball again unless we bring a baseball person in, and we will have a baseball person in shortly to talk about the playoffs, and then we'll just mute Steve while he snores. I want to remind everybody that you can find us on Facebook at The Grueling Truth. You can also, if you want to follow shows like Indiana Basketball Weekly, punch in Indiana Basketball Weekly on The Grueling Truth. You'll find it there. On Twitter, you can follow us at Survive the Magic or at Grueling Truth. You can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.